So this is part two of my study abroad story time. I think I might focus more on the clubbing for this one. And just to reiterate, I did go to class, okay? I might have went to class hungover a couple times, but I went to class, okay? If you're gonna study abroad, show up to class, alright? I took a really interesting class called China's Belt and Road Initiative, which was about how China was investing in infrastructure, especially in other countries, and how they were using that to using those investments to expand Eastern expansion and influence, and in maybe some ways gain power over other countries. It had to do with a lot of the neo-colonialism that a lot of people read about, especially in Africa. And the teacher, he was really, oh my god, I have hives all over me. What did I do? Well, I'm gonna take some Benadryl before I go to sleep. But the teacher, he was really cool. He was really balanced. He had a balanced worldview where he was talking about China's influence, Western influence. He even touched a little bit about Muslim internment camps, but he couldn't, I think, legally touch on it all the way. And he also brought up the fact that how being study abroad students, especially hosting study abroad students with Africa, China kind of had an agenda to try to shift the students more to their perspective, and especially students who are going to politics and whatnot. It would help further their relationships, which I think is kind of secretly a purpose of most study abroad programs. Bella. That was Bella again, my cousin's dog. She was in part one. She just needed some food, I think. But yeah, where was I? Oh yeah, I was talking about the class I was taking. But yeah, the professor is really well balanced. He was pretty cool. It was really interesting to see how infrastructure could affect societies. There were some American students who were very loud and was trying to go against everything he said, which he wasn't trying to argue with anybody. He was just sharing his education, or what he was educating us on. But the Americans were kind of trying to, it was two American white boys, they were trying to turn it into something, and you tell all the other Americans were just kind of embarrassed a little bit. And it was just and I was trying to raise my hand and try to make it better, but you can only do so much, But anyways, fast forward to the clubbing. If you guys want to hear more about the class later, just let me know. But yeah, I did not expect to go there and end up clubbing. I did not pack clubbing clothes, okay? And the girls that were with me, Sarah, Cece, and Effie, they were like, you don't have clubbing clothes? And I was like, no, I'm a nerd. Why would I have that? I have just shorts, tank tops, maybe a little blouse, I was not expecting to go out. But anyways, since I was a foreigner, with clubbing, they didn't really have a dress code for foreigners. So I was rocking some Converse. I was rocking some green shorts and a tank top. And I was going, babe. I was going. And I wasn't sure about it, but they were like, yeah, come with me. I didn't fart, by the way. That was my chair. All right, that was my chair. Okay. All right, I would excuse myself. All right. But yeah, and they got me to go with them. And so our main party crew was Marcus, who was the older black guy that I met at Fayetteville State. There was the three black girls in our group chat that were from California, and that was Sarah, Effie, and Cece. Again, I'm using fake names just for safety reasons. And then there was the other study abroad students who weren't in the black group chat, but was in the other party group chat. which was Josh, Brad, who I found out was a frat guy. We had a very interesting conversation about frats and like women's safety and whatnot. It was kind of enlightening a little bit. There was Amelia, who was from Italy. Josh was also from California, and so was Daniel. And then there was Yusef, who was Turkish. He was from Turkey. He was pretty cool, pretty quiet. He loved hip hop, which I don't know. I'm always shocked when like things of Black culture just get around. I shouldn't have been shocked, but I was, and I saw some like dreadheads in Shanghai too. I was like, oh, okay. They were hanging out in the Jordan store. Well, they worked in the Jordan store, and I was like, you don't have to put dreads in to work at the Jordan store. But we also saw them in a hip hop club too. So I was like, okay, you guys are really deep into this. But I was like, I'm not trying to judge. I'm trying to keep an open mind. So, yeah. And then there was James, who wasn't a study abroad student. His dad just worked at a university, and he just kind of joined us. James was James was my favorite. He was my favorite. He was the one that I always had to remember. I'm in a relationship. And I can say these things now because I'm not in a relationship anymore. And I mean, between me and my ex, it didn't really end the best. Well, it ended well, but then after the ending, it didn't end well. So that's why I'm just kind of being full on right now. No regrets, but yeah, he was pretty cool. It was funny. He took me, Sarah, Cece, and Ethy to this Korean barbecue place there, and it was my first time tasting Korean barbecue, in China, which is very surreal. I had a lot of firsts there. And he was funny and whatnot. There was a time where we were like, it was like on a field trip, which he was able to go on, which was to see like acrobatics and whatnot, which was really cool. Got to see people like balancing on top of each other. This is supposed to be about clubbing, but I got distracted. But yeah, he was really cool. At some point, if I remember, we kind of held hands, but it was because he was talking about his mom who passed away. And I feel bad for saying this, but when he was talking about it, I was like, he's kind of hot. Like he's kind of hot. Not his mom. That wasn't the hot part. No, it was just him being in touch with his emotions, But at the same time, I was also like, he was super flirty. So I was like, do you use the, it's gonna sound horrible, but I was like, do you use that story to kind of get with girls? Because it kind of seemed to rehearse just, I don't know. That probably is my shallow side. But I do appreciate him telling me that and whatnot. And it did make me adore him more, but I immediately stopped holding hands because then I felt guilty. I was like, I was just trying to help connect and comfort with him. But then I was like, I like holding hands with you a little bit too much, so we're not gonna do that, And just to recap, like back then I really did care and love for my boyfriend. But you're young, in different waters. And then like my therapist said, like just because you're in a relationship, it doesn't stop attraction, which is true, So I never did anything over there. That was like the most intimate act I did. It was just kind of just held his hand to comfort him for a little bit. But anyways, that was our clubbing crew basically. And one of them knew a promoter and whatnot. I think that was Daniel. Yeah, he knew the promoters and whatnot. And we went to this one club, and Daniel bought a whole table, which was expensive. I was like, you bought a table? He was like, yeah. I was like, how much is that? That was another thing about studying abroad. You will meet kids in different class levels, okay? maybe it was a different class level. Maybe they saved a lot and maybe they had a big refund check. But some of them were different class levels. Like, Daniel, I don't know how you paid for that, because that table, I don't know, it was 700 in the Chinese money or it was 700 in American money, but it was still kind of expensive from what I heard, because they brought a whole bunch of drinks. We were sitting on couches and they brought a load of shots and we were drinking those shots back to back. And thank God this was before COVID, because we were putting them down and putting them back up, and I was concerned a little bit. And then one of the girls were like, it's alcohol, it sanitizes itself. And me, of course, being no, I was like, okay. just taking them back to back, you know. I'm really hoping my nephews don't watch this when they get older. Jade, if you're watching this, stop it. Don't do this right now. Don't do it. Wait till you get older. Okay. All right, I was 21 or close to being 21 at this time. So it was illegal in China. All right. But yeah, and we were just taking them back to back. I didn't really have club clothes, but I had my regular clothes, and I was just dancing. And some of the clubs, they were giving out fans, and I had a fan. I was just, I felt like a go-go girl. Lights were everywhere. I was dancing on that couch. I think me, and especially like Brad and Amelia, we were going at it. Like, we were the dancing crew. We were always hype, just dancing, because I love to dance. Like, I might not be a pro at it, and you know, I'm not like a professional twerker, but I love to dance, and I love to be goofy and fun. And a lot of times I'm the first one on the dance floor, and I pull out the goofiest moods to make everybody comfortable too, because that helps. And it was fun being the foreigners, because we got to hype up the club. So we come in, we all boring, and they play the music, and we get hype, and everybody else get hype, you know. And, you know, even if I was a bigger girl, black girl, a lot of people wanted to dance with me still. See, it don't be mattering on the dance floor, because everybody get groovy on the dance floor. Anyways, one of the club events, I was dancing with Brad and Amelia, and we were just having a good time. You know, it was also like Cece, Effie, and Sarah too nearby. You know, Marcus and Yusef, they were in the corner doing their own thing and stuff like that. And I was like, I think I turned my back on them for like a moment, and I turned back around, and they were still dancing, but they were making out at the same time. And I was like, this was my first time. My first time in the club, and I barely saw people like make out. Like, the one other time I saw somebody make out was like when I was like 14 in middle school, and I thought it was the grossest thing alive. But seeing them, I was amazed, because they were still dancing while doing it. And I just saw that in movies. I didn't know people actually did that. Like just danced and like made out at the same time. How is that? How do you keep? I don't know. I don't know the physics of it. But they were doing it, and then they ended up being like, that was their summer couple. They were cute and stuff like that too. So it was cute and everything. Sierra, Effie, Cece, and I, we all had boyfriends. The Black Girl Squad, all of us had boyfriends. So we were always in a group too a lot of time. When one of them started twerking, we would be behind hyping them up, but it was also to block any of the guys coming as well. And you know, that didn't really like stop guys from flirting and stuff like that. But you know, it helped. It helped. I had there was this one guy on one of our last nights. He was flirting with me. And we were gonna get in a cab. He like opened the door, he, like waited for me. I think he might have been like a local and stuff. But I didn't really try to give into it too. A couple of the African guys were hitting on me too. Everybody was respectful though, I would say that. Like, it was still pretty respectful. So for that one guy that stood behind me in the club, I guess he thought I was gonna throw it back, and he just stood behind me, and I just froze, and I was like, And I just tried to move away. Then he did it again. And I was like, mm-mm. So, that's another thing. Just like American clubs, you gotta watch out for those creepers who be coming in the back and stuff. And so, yeah, that happened. Those happened some of those nights and whatnot. And then on a night of my like birthday, I said this in the last one, we were looking for a club. I was already kind of lit. And the original club we had thought of didn't allow black people in. So we found that out. Marcus in particular was upset, and so were like the other girls in our group. I already kind of knew how Jenna was, but I was also kind of lit. So I was like, we going on to the next one then. Hey, it was my 21st birthday. And so we went to another one, and I was dancing and whatnot. There was this one woman in the club. She worked for it. She was carrying around a bottle of champagne, and she was like, champagne. And before I could say no, she just poured it down my mouth. And it got on my shirt and everything. And I was like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do in this situation. I was so very, very awkward. And then it got even more awkward because we were dancing and whatnot. And I was jumping. And all of a sudden, Sarah and Marcus's mouth just went like, and I was like, and I felt a breeze and a pop from my chest. And, you know, it fell out. So, it just fell out. I really hope none of you guys are watching this. But, you know, it fell out in the club. I don't know how many people saw it. I hope they didn't. So, you know, make sure you wear a secure bra in the club because it will jump out on you. Especially if you got the bigger ones, you know. And that was a lesson learned. I tucked that joint back in and I kept on dancing. Act like nothing happened. And luckily, Marcus and Sarah were kind of covering me a little bit. So I hope nobody saw it. But, you know, it is what it is. But I learned my lesson when we went to this club. It was, and it had a trampoline floor. So we were dancing, and the more people danced, it would go higher and higher and higher. But when you're a bigger chested girl, and you're jumping, they jump too. And I wore a sports bra and everything, but they were still jumping. And then it jumped so high. James turned to me. He was like, they almost knocked the drink out my hand, and I was so embarrassed. I can't control it. Can't control it. And then there was this one night I was just supposed to meet with Marcus, Cece, Effie, and Sarah. And we were supposed to go to this other hip hop club and whatnot. And I think Yusuf was with them. And I assumed that like Josh, Daniel, and Brad were with them too. And there was this another guy, we can call him Elmer, I guess. He was there. I met at the usual spot, and they were like, "Oh yeah, we're going out and stuff." So I thought I was supposed to be with them too. I didn't know it was just gonna be like us type of thing. But anyway, I was there. I was waiting for them. They ordered some drinks, some beer, and everything like that. I don't really like beer. And we were talking about that, and then we got on the topic of drugs. And Brad goes in, and he and Elmer start talking about, you know, the hardcore C word. And they were talking about like when they did it and like ecstasy and all this stuff. And I was just sitting there concerned. And Amelia, she was like, I don't know why y'all are so regular about this stuff. She was like, back at home, we don't do this stuff. We do kind of like the simple stuff, you know? And I immediately got concerned. And I was texting Marcus and I was like, where are you guys at? Because I don't know what's about to happen tonight. But turns out they're going to a different club and whatnot. And I was like, okay, I'm with this group. I wasn't too concerned with them. I mean, I partied with them before that point, but you know, the drug conversation threw me off. I felt a bit worried. I already promised I was gonna go with them, so I ended up going with them. I didn't have like at the time the pockets I had for like my closest party pants. Well, I didn't have pockets in my closest party pants, so I had to carry this little wallet case around. And sometimes I'd do it in my bra, sometimes I didn't. But you know, I gave my pocket case thing to Elmer. I don't know why I did that. I don't know why. He said he was willing to hold it for me, but I probably shouldn't have given the conversation before. And anyways, I went with them. We met up with like Josh, Daniel, and like a couple of other girls. They were really pretty. I could tell the guys were trying to get with the girls and stuff. But anyways, Elma promised to hold on to it for me. And saying this out loud, I just feel really dumb. But Elmer, he was kind of cool though. But on our way there, he was also talking about all the drugs he did. And just saying this out loud, you could have been close to getting robbed. Like, anyways, Elmer, if you're watching this, I'm sorry if I did get the wrong impression of you, but you were talking about drugs a lot. So, anyways, we got to the club. I started dancing with okay, I accidentally said the real name. I had it right down the time, but we got to the club. I was dancing with Amelia and Brad and whatnot. We were doing our thing, our go-go dancing. Hey, we were dancing on the couches. It was lit and whatnot. Daniel, Josh, were there back there with like it was like a girl and her friend, and they were really cute. But the girl ended up getting like super drunk, and I think this is one of the clubs that Daniel got a table at. And he's trying to like impress, you know, homegirl and whatnot. But she got super drunk to the point where she passed out on the couch. And I knew they were talking about taking her home, but I didn't know when. Nobody notified me. And I was with Brad and Amelia, and like all of a sudden we're dancing and stuff like that. And then I turn around and they're gone. Elmer is gone with my wallet. And I appreciate them trying to take care of this girl. Well, I hope they were trying to take care of her in the best way. Daniel seemed like a pretty upstanding guy, so I'd imagine he was trying to take them home. And I think I did see them taking her home, and she had to like stop and throw up. By the time we got back, 'cause I immediately left out. We all did when like they left, and even Brad and Amelia, they were like, "Why didn't they tell us?" So I ended up getting a ride with this other girl. The other girl was kind of worried because she had to pay for it. And I was like, I'm going to pay you back, I promise. But I don't have my wallet now. And I need to be able to do to get my wallet. And when I was texting Elmer, he was like, oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize. I'm like, dude. Like, you can't just do that. You can't just leave me stranded without my wallet. In any club, any situation, any country, that's dangerous. So he was like, I'm sorry. Met up with him. I got my wallet back. The girl, I think, was puking in the bushes when we got there. So she was very, very sick and whatnot. She looked cute though. So that's a bonus, I guess. Yeah, but I was so worried. I was so sick. And I did pay the girl back. So she was very worried. But I was like, I'm gonna pay you back. Like, just get me home. She had to pay for it. It's like an Uber service, but they call it something different there. And it's like a totally different app and whatnot. And I have a hard time working it and stuff like that. And a lot of the stuff was just digitized there. So a lot of things you would use it would be like Apple Pay, but it was a different company with different apps. So like I couldn't use a card or anything at vending machine or cash, which was difficult for me. Especially in the cafeteria. I had nerves going up to the cafeteria workers because I couldn't communicate. So what I did, I just got into the same line like every day and I ate the same thing. I think it was, they had lines labeled for like different cultural foods. So this one was, I think, Chengdu. I think it was Chengdu stew or something. But it was like a beef stew with a whole bunch of plants and vegetables, and it was really good. And I'd just eat it every time I was there. And I don't know if it was the way I was eating it. I was eating it with chopsticks. But I don't know. But one day, the group of cafeteria workers, they just huddled together. And the lady was just pointing at me. And they were just talking about it. And they were just watching me eat. And I didn't know what to do. They were just like. And I was like. I didn't know what to do. And so I was like, maybe they were talking about the fact that I got the same thing every day, or maybe I was eating like I was hungry, because I was hungry a lot of times. So yeah, but they had also this fried rice place that was across the street. The guy made it homemade, and he had cheesy fried rice, he had squid fried rice, he had chicken fried rice. Anything mixed with fried rice, you name it, he would make it. And it was good. I surprisingly liked the squid fried rice. And I think there was like spaghetti fried rice too. That was kind of good too. Didn't mess up my stomach as much as I thought it would. So it was pretty good. But yeah, it was pretty hectic down there. And one day we had saw the security guards corral this one guy. I mentioned it in part 1. He was... First of all, when we first met him, it was me, Marcus, Cece, Effie, and Sarah. And we were walking and whatnot, and we met the guy in the lobby of the hip hop club. And the guy, he was talking to us and whatnot, and I think what set off alarms first was that he brought up the fact that him and Sarah were mixed. Which Sarah, she doesn't really bring it up. I think she was mixed with something. But, you know, that's her business. That's her genealogy. You know, he had asked about it and, like, talked about him being mixed. And I don't know, I just find that in some cases, I think if it comes up naturally in conversation, it makes sense. But when people, like, bring it up out of the blue, where you can tell it's the first thing they're thinking about, that's weird. That's giving... You know, but I was trying to judge him. He was drunk too, so I was trying to think about it. But we saw him later that night when we were leaving the club, and he and the security guard was getting into it. So he's this like kind of tall mixed guy, blue eyes, and the security guard is like this somewhat short, stocky Chinese dude, but he's very buff and whatnot. And they were getting into it, and the security guy was grabbing all the other security, and the guy was yelling and stuff like that. Marcus was getting worried because he was kind of worried it was becoming he was worried it might end up being a police brutality situation, which is totally understandable. And so he tried to like cut in to help the guy, but then the guy started yelling at Marcus, and he started buffing up on him like he was about to fight. And Marcus was like, whoa, like, you're doing too much. And he backed up the situation before he ended up fighting the guy, because the guy was really trying to fight him and whatnot. And after that, we saw the guy was just, he just kept escalating stuff. And the security guard was just like, get out of here, get out. And he just kept escalating things and whatnot. And then I guess he was trying to fight the security guards and whatnot. And then at some point, they had to hold him down on the ground. My phone, my charger. But they had to hold him down on the ground, and then the short but buff, the stocky security guard, he had to go like this, and slapped the ish out of him. Like, you could hear that slap halfway around the world. And everybody was just like, because we were just standing up there, we were watching. We were trying to make sure this guy was good, but he kept escalating it. And it was so embarrassing, y'all. Like, but the dude kept talking crap, kept getting aggravated and stuff like that. And then they called him a ride. And the ride was like a little, like, you know when people ride the bikes and there's like the wagon in the back? It was that. And the guy got up on the wagon as it was riding away. The person who's driving it's just like going like this, and the guy just standing on the back, and he just goes to everybody. And he just did that to all of us. He just said F you to all of us who was there. And we were just like, wow. Wow, you just try to fight everybody. And now you just flip everybody off. Everyone. And then the security guard, he knew English, and I think he might have been American too. And he was talking to Marcus. He was like, look, he was like, I know what happens over there. He was like, I was trying not to make it that situation. And he was just being aggressive in a club. And he was like, I was trying to remove him from the situation before it got too much. And Marcus was like, I understand. Because he was like, yeah, because Marcus was explaining, I was just worried because, you know, you seen a men of color get hassled by security guards. He was like, I just wanted to step in. And the guy was like, yeah, I know, I understand. And it was a good conversation. That slap was rough though. That man slapped him like he was his daddy. Like, I felt disrespected from that slap, you know. But it was also weird though, because it was like there was fear. But I'm glad in China they don't have guns, because I know in America it was a different level of fear. You understand? Like, I'm not happy that happened, but if it happened in America where there are people with guns, it could have been way, way worse. And that was another thing about China. I felt super exposed at the same time, but because of like the lack of gun culture there, I wasn't as worried or scared. I could dance and I wasn't worried about somebody shooting up the club as much, which was a nice feeling to have, you know. And even the guards on campus, they were intimidating, but they didn't have guns. It was just a different feeling not seeing guns everywhere or in a lot of places, you know. And that was a different feeling where you're in an environment where there aren't guns. It's very weird for me as an American. I still gotta keep doing my hair. But yeah, that night it was wild. It was wild, and I believe I mentioned this in part one. There was another night where I was like really lit, and I was just standing there with my braids, and these these cab drivers just came up. It was like older men, or like in their 40s, and they just started touching my braids. And I was so far gone. I just let it happen, which isn't a good thing. You shouldn't do that. You shouldn't just let people invade your personal space. Now that I'm older, I'm like, get away from me. But right now, I was like, hey, they're not touching my butt, which is low standards. But yeah, they were just touching my braids and just talking about it. And I was just like, I was so out of it, y'all. But you know, the girls got me. They got me together, and they got me away. So I respect them for that. You know, Marcus too, and whatnot. And that was different. And that was another thing. I just felt, because people was around, I just felt very protected. And I think that led me to think differently about my relationship when I came back to America. And I think I'll talk about that in part 3. But yeah, let me know what you think. Let me know if you had similar experiences or feelings. I probably do have more clubbing stories. I might not remember it as much because I was not the most sober. So, Grandma, if you're seeing this, I'm sorry. But I'm not sorry. No, I'm sorry. But yeah, but let me know if you have any questions in the comments too. I think in the next one I'll go more into like my emotions about it and how it felt, and also like the different experiences with like men and also the women and the friendship and whatnot of that experience too. So yeah, just let me know, comment, tell me if you like the video.